with the recent release of Super Slam, we've gotten a chance to see kind of how the new cards work and what they do and how well they can compete against other decks. So now I kind of want to go over a lot of the cards that were released after having a chance to like see them and experiment with them and talk about, how can warriors use these cards. I know I'm mainly known as the Fang person, but I kind of also want to be known as like the warrior main of Flesh and Blood. I really like Hatch's Story, I like Isaiah, I want Olympia to be good, that kind of thing. So I want to be known as like the warrior player, the warrior main that knows warrior stuff. So we're gonna go over what do I think warriors can take away from Super Slam? Are there any cards that I think are good for warriors in Super Slam? And I think that there's a handful of cards that should be at least thought about or considered going forward. If you guys like this kind of video, drop a like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on, is there another class you'd like me to talk about? Maybe I could bring on like a guest or something like that to like talk about other cards within Super Slam for like Guardians or Ninjas or whatever. But warriors is my, main thing, my cup of tea, my knowledge base there. So, let's just get into this. Let's get into the cards from Super Slam that are good for warriors. Now, I know warriors Super Slam is mainly for like Brute and Guardian and Reviled and Revered, and warriors weren't really like given a lot, but I think that they're still like have some generic cards and some good cards in the set to talk about. First, let's talk about Amulet of Ataya, or Authority of Ataya. Yeah, sorry. This is a generic resource gem. This is the Fable of the set, and it's pitches for 3, and when it's pitched, defense reaction cards cost the opponent 1 more resource to play this turn. Let's get with the obvious. I don't think Fang's going to run this. Obviously, Fang does not need many blues. I don't think Olympia is going to run this. Olympia is very much the deck running the defense reaction of the deck, stalling the opponent out, and a card like this doesn't really help them that much. However, I can see Dawnblade Dory using this. I could definitely see Dawnblade Dory making good use of this. Those D-reacts, those pesky D-reacts, they can like really block out the Ironsong responses, the Blade Flurries. That is what I think, is a really big problem for, Dory. Having the opponent just being able to cleanly use D-reacts to cover that +1 counter to stop those odd hits. Very annoying, very difficult to deal with, and I definitely think this could be a good sideboard card. With a lot of Florians, with a lot of Verdances, like this could be a good card to use against those decks. Stop those D-reacts, make it harder for them to get that full value out of defense. Like paying 1 for a Sink Below, terrible value. That's awful. That's terrible. Who would use that's like Rise Above, but worse. Terrible. But yeah, I can definitely see this being used. I don't think it's like a staple. I don't think if you're playing Dawnblade Dory, you need to buy one of these right away. But it's like if you have one and you play Dawnblade Dory, give it a try. I think it couldn't be terrible. It could be a good sideboard option. For other heroes, I don't really see many of them doing it. I don't see Kasai really using it. Fang and Olympia, like Kasai could, I guess, but I don't think she cares as much about D-reacts as Dory does. It could be a bit annoying, but that's about it. That's really all I can see from this in like Kasai or Olympia, just being a bit annoying, but it's not really what you need in like a card like this. Second card is an interesting tech choice that I don't think is going to be good right now for warriors, but I think could be a good card in some metas. It's Cutting Retort. Cost 0, it's a generic attack, attacks for 4, blocks for 3, and when it attacks a hero, you may pay up to 3 resources, destroy that many aura tokens with different names they control. If you do, this gets +1 for each aura destroyed this way. Now, the deck that I could see this being played the most is like mid-rangey Dawnblade lists, that run like the attack actions like CNC, like Nourishing, that kind of thing. I can definitely see this being a good sideboard option or a good choice in certain metas. We are in a meta where people are making a lot of like might and vigor tokens, a lot of confidence tokens, a lot of toughness tokens. So I can definitely see this being like a decent sideboard option if you're like, planning on playing the long game and trying to really draw the opponent out. So like when they have that setup to just really, take it all down and be like, nope, you're actually not getting a lot of those. We're gonna like destroy some of them. I don't see it being that good because it's only destroying 1, and like decks that tend to make like might tokens like tend to make a lot of might tokens. But if you're if they're like making like vigor, agility, and confidence, then I could like kind of see like popping those 3 being like good. It would also really depend, if maybe it could be like a decent Vincent tech option. If Vincent gets really good, if she has like multiple auras, maybe like Florian could make it could be good against Florian. It really depends on the meta. I don't think we have like enough aura themed decks to justify. Like we have KO, right? Old KO, who's like still like a good deck, but we already have a good matchup against Old KO. Like, warriors are fine against Old KO. We don't need this. We really don't need this. It could be good against some matchups in the future, some decks in the future, if we have, certain aura decks climbing up those ranks. I don't think it's a good card now. I think it's something good that could be, like, thought about in, like, really blue-heavy warrior decks. I think Olympia could actually make use of this. And when I say Olympia, I want to clarify, I'm talking about, like, a really fatiguey, slow, blocky version of Olympia. When I talk about that, because that's really the only strategy he has as of now, unfortunately. I want Olympia to be better, but that's all he's got in terms of his specs, and it looks like that's the direction Alice is going with him. So I can definitely see this again being good in Olympia. It's generic, 2 for 7, pretty good, not terrible. Depends on the meta. Good sideboard option. Again, Fang doesn't use this because Fang doesn't have a lot of resources, and Kasai, I don't think she has enough blues to justify this. This is a card that a lot of people were asking me about on stream, and by a lot I mean like 3, but that's a lot for me. So Ambush. or ambush, overcrowded, it has the keyword ambush. Oh my god, I'm so tired. So overcrowded, it's a blue pitch, costs 0, it has the keyword ambush, so you can block with it in your arsenal, and for when this attacks your defense, it gets +1 attack and +1 block for each different name among aura tokens in the arena. So, I want to get the elephant out of the room. Is this good in Fang? No, don't run into Fang. Let me explain why. So Fang is a draconic hero, and Fang really wants to make use of, like, you know, his deck being mostly like 0 for 4s, right? You know, Imperial Intent, Searing Gaze, all that. Those are like really good rate 0 for 4s. You know, going like 4/4 pass. You know, that's a 2-card 9 with Battling Dynamo. That's really what you want. And your blues, you do need blues, but the blues you really need to justify having in there, right? I run Glint, because Glint you want to see early in the game, you want to see late in the game, you don't really care when you see it. Glint's good. Relentless Pursuit. Even if you're online, you see Relentless Pursuit, you park that in Arsenal, you wait till you see your Sayer Bloodshed, you combo that, you get the draw card, you keep going, helps you dig through your deck. Perfect. I don't even think, what's the card called? Expose is that bad of a blue. You know, it doesn't block, sure, but like it marks the opponent on reaction. Guaranteed mark on reaction. Really good to see. Not bad. This card, I see it being good mainly for matchups where Fang is already really good. Like, again, OGKO. Fang eats OGKO. These two-handed warriors eat OGKO for breakfast. They do, like, OGKO just does nothing. We win. Is everybody just, like, forgotten the heavy hitters meta where, like, two-handed warriors were what kept KO in check? That's what kept KO in check. We were the people who were like, no, you're not going to do this. You're going to stop. That's enough. And, I think, like, those like, the places where I see Overcrowded being good are matchups where we already have a good matchup as, not even just Fang, but as warriors in general. You know, like, two-handed warriors at least, like Hatches, Ori, Kasai, and Fang. I already see them having good matchups against these decks that this would be good in, right? So I don't blame people for playing Overcrowded. I just personally wouldn't play Overcrowded. I could maybe see good in some versions of Olympia, potentially, depending on, like, I don't know, I haven't seen many Olympia builds, potentially, Dawnblade Dory, maybe, potentially, again, depending on the build, if you're playing a more defensive, slower build, like what, I guess CYB Dawnblade Dory was, this could be potentially good. I think for other warriors, though, I would not run this, personally. I don't think it's a bad card, I think it's definitely a good card, I do see the idea behind it, I just don't think it's something warriors in particular need right now. Now, this is a card that I saw, and I'm like, okay, this isn't going to be used now, but this could be good depending on the meta. If you've controlled an agility token this turn, create an agility token. Then repeat this for confidence, might, toughness, and vigor. Go again. Now, I think this is definitely interesting. It's a blue block 3. It's generic. Really good. Automatically. Could be good in Dawnblade Dory. Could be good in, like, any version of Dory. A Hatchet Dory I definitely see as being good in. Kasai, definitely decent. It reminds me a lot of Runner, right? You know, you set up the agility and then you keep that, you know, tempo going. You keep that setup going to just keep that value train, you know, going. I think it's really good if you have, like, if you're in a position where you're going to need to block a lot and you're playing like a longer game, but you really want to get like the most of these tokens, and you might have like, you know, smaller card hands. Like I'm imagining if you're like, you have like one vigor token, one agility token, and like tunic to 3 and like justice in your hand. You play this, you set up for next turn, and you go attack with weapon, tunic, attack with other weapon, pass. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's getting the most out of like small card hands, which is like honestly not terrible. I think if we are in a meta where like you're going to have to block a lot, you're going to play these longer games, you're going to get these lower life totals more. I don't see this as that bad. I don't see this as that terrible. You know, giving you more options. I could see it like, do I think it's going to be played in every warrior deck? No. I don't even think many warriors can use it now. But what I would say is if you're like playing Dawnblade Dory or Kasai or Hatchet Dory or something like that, no, Fang doesn't need this. Or even Olympia, put this in like the maybe section of February. And then when you're playing a deck that has like, you know, you're like, okay, I gotta block a lot, I keep getting these points where I'm kind of like losing tempo, I can't really make good use of like my small card hands, like that kind of thing, and be like, this is good. If you want a runner that pitches more, it's good. And runner is a good card. I love runner. Personally, one of my favorite cards. I am disappointed that more people don't play that card nowadays. It's such a good card. It's such a good card. And this is a runner that blocks 3, and that pitches for 3. It pitches 3, blocks 3. Runner blocks 3. What am I talking? It pitches for 3. It's a runner that pitches for 3. What else do you need? It's fantastic. I have wanted to talk about this since I saw it, since it got spoiled, because I hate this card. Okay, so this is Golden Galia. I'm mainly talking about the full Olympia armor set, the head, chest, arms, legs. It's Olympia specialization, legendary Olympia specialization, so you can only have one of each. Counts as a gold and it's temper 2. When I look at Olympia, I see a warrior, but LSS has like amnesia about what warriors do when they're designing for Olympia. Right, because Olympia has this weird fatigue block defensive strategy, right? Like, he wants to get gold in order to buy back his equipment, in order to, like, play out the longer game. And I get that. I totally get that, and I think that was a valid strategy. But this armor suite confuses me. Mainly because most of the equipment, chest, arms, and legs for warrior, you get more value from it being on the field longer. Wait for bracers. The more turns it's on, the more +1 value you get. Grains of blood spell. The longer grains of blood spells on the field, the more you get. The more bigger tokens you make. Valiant Dynamo, the longer Valiant Dynamo's on the field, the more +1 block you get. This maybe is okay for like head pieces, but even then, like, do you want like Crown of Providence right away? Do you want Crown of Providence turn 0? Or do you want Crown of Providence halfway through the game, when your opponent's already probably attacked with a couple CNCs? This armor suite doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Because there's no warrior armor that I can think of that benefits from coming in the field mid-game. And you might say, okay, well, what if you're playing the longer game against Olympia? You want that block value. I guess, sure, maybe, sure, whatever. But even that's not a good strategy, guy. If you want to play a fatigue deck, a deck that blocks a lot, play Guardian, play Victor. Like, everything Olympia wants to do, Guardians do better. You want to play a slower deck that blocks a lot, that pushes good numbers. You want to play Guardian. Like, that is the deck you want to play. I'm not thinking, oh, I want to play something defensive, I want to play something blocky, I'm going to go to Warrior. Warriors are a value kind of deck. They're going to get consistently good numbers every turn. They're not going to fatigue the opponent every game. You just get value. Value does not mean fatigue, right? KO is not a fatigue deck. RKO might be a bit of a fatigue deck, but OG KO is not a fatigue deck. I don't know what Olympia would need. If you want to make Olympia good, the only thing you'd really need, or the main thing you need, is some kind of way of fixing wagers. Because that's the biggest problem right now. Wagers, like for Dawnblade Dory, if your opponent can block well, you're just, okay, I'm not going to get ahead. I'm not going to snowball my value. For Olympia, if your opponent blocks well, your whole strategy just doesn't work. You do nothing. You do actually nothing. And this fatigue strategy, it's fine until you realize that, like, you don't have enough tools to disrupt the opponent to stop those 5-card hands, right? The problem with fatigue strategies, or what I call bulk fatigue, where you just put a bunch of D-reacts in the deck and then just block everything out, is it doesn't work when your opponent knows what's going on. Because if you're ever facing a deck like that, all you got to do is set up 5-card hands, push over their defenses, and that's it. That's all you need, and you win. That's it. And Olympia doesn't have the disruptive tools to stop that. Guardians do. Guardians have Spinal Crush. Guardians have Debilitate. Guardians have what's that one? They have new Crush cards in Super Slam. Olympia doesn't. Olympia at most has like generic generic attacks like CNC. But so do Guardians. Guardians have the same thing. Plus their toolbox. I don't know. I think Olympia is so weird, and when I look at his cards, I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand it, and it's upsetting, because I think Olympia is interesting, and I want Olympia to be good, but every time I play Olympia, I'm like, man, I really wish this was Dorinthia. I really wish it was just Dorinthia, because he just doesn't, I don't know. That's my rant on that over mid-card, but Olympia's a mid-hero, so whatever. Hello, cat. Next up, Beat of the Ironsong. I love this card. Perfect design. Fantastic. Mucho bene. So it costs 0, it pitches for 3, blocks 3. It's a warrior attack reaction. Choose X+1, where X is the number of +1 counters on an attacking Dawnblade. Either Dawnblade attack gets +1, target Dawnblade attack gets go again, card's defending target Dawnblade can't gain defense, and damage target Dawnblade attack would deal can't be prevented. What can I say? It's awesome. It's very flexible. It gives you a lot of options. You can give it go again. You can give it +1. You can stop that. Those cards that decompose. If you're like, oh, I'm gonna play Rootbound Carapace. No, you're not. Not gonna gain defense, right? You're playing against Lyeth. Lyeth's like, oh, I'm just gonna throw a bunch of cards and then activate Lyeth. No, doesn't gain attack. What are you gonna do now, huh? They're going back to their base. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. It can feel a bit more like a Widmore card at times, because if you don't have those counters already built up, you're kind of not gonna get the full value, which kind of sucks and it's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It's fine. I do think, however, it is interesting, but what I think is the most interesting is this isn't a Dory spec. Anyone notice that? Anyone notice that? This isn't a Dory spec. It's a Dawnblade card, but it's not a Dory spec. Which, I'm gonna say something that I find weird. LSS knows that Dory's in a Welcome to Wraith hero, obviously. And they know that she's on the, like, 1.5 multiplier for LL points, obviously. Like, I wouldn't say she's super close to LLing, but she's not far from LLing. So why would they give Dory only a Dory-only card to a hero that's not that far from LLing? I could absolutely see this being, like, also some foreshadowing from LSS, like, hey, we're going to give you another hero that uses Dawnblade. Watch out. Because I know Dawnblade's going to go when Dory goes, because that's her signature weapon. But after Dory's gone, are they going to give us another Dory that uses Dawnblade? Or a similar weapon that's, like, similar to Dawnblade? I'd like that. I think that's awesome. I don't know. I might be digging too deep into this, because I already love this card. But that struck me as weird. That struck me as a little bit odd. But yeah, overall, really good. I think Dawnblade Dory, this is a 3 of. Instant 3 of. You know, not much more to say. It's a 3 of, and definitely helps you in, like, difficult matchups. If you're facing, like, Enigma, you know, if something like Enigma comes back, or Prism, and you need to get through the Warlords, absolutely fantastic. Just punch right through them with this. Can't be prevented. You're done. Florian and Earth Heroes, and Verdance, like, were notoriously really hard for Dawnblade Dory, being like, no, you're not going to get value out of your Root Brown Carapace. Nothing. It's really flexible, really good. I really like it, which is exactly what Warriors encompass. Flexibility and consistency, which is why I love the class. Blood Follows Blade. I love this card. It's a 0-cost yellow pitch warrior attack reaction. It blocks for 3, it's a Kasai spec, and target sword attack gets going again, and when this hits, crit a Centauri Sellsword token. I think it's really cool. I love this card. Definitely 3 of in any Kasai deck. Absolutely. It gives you that Centauri Sellsword, and lets you, like, you know, get that little bit of extra damage, shift that extra damage. Fantastic. Do I think it, like, I think Kasai's in a really weird place in the current meta, though. You know, Earth Heroes, it's really hard for Kasai to deal with, like, Florian and Verdance. Absolutely. She doesn't really, like, she's not really as aggressive as other warriors can be. Like, she does have her draw sign package, but, like, I don't think she deals with the Earth Heroes that well as a warrior. I mean, warriors in general are, like, kind of mid against Earth Heroes, except Florian, or except Fang. Fang is, like, you know, that's free. It's free. But yeah, no, I think this is good. I think, like, in a meta where, like, Earth Heroes are, like, weaker, or, like, the Earth Heroes have rotated out, this could definitely push Kasai to a very good point. It makes Centauri Sellswords not only this, like, niche endgame strategy, which is only, like, a sideboard card, but it's now, like, we can get allies throughout the game. You know, we can get that value throughout the game as we play, which is exactly what we needed. I love this. I love this. Fantastic. It also kind of, like, gives Kasai an actual on-hit. I do, you know, wish it was, like, it could have been, like, we have a similar non-attack. I wish we had a non-attack action version of this, because it being in a reaction doesn't really bait the opponent into blocking, but it also pushes the on-hit better. So, like, I don't know. There's some benefits to this being a non-attack action, and some benefits to this being a reaction. I could see both sides, and I really wish we could get, like, one of each. If we had, like, a Blood Follows Blade and a Blade Follows Blood or something like that, but it's, like, it's a non-attack action, it's the same thing. Next sword attack, it's go again, and on-hit create a Sellsword token. I think that would be both of those would be pretty neat to have, right? Because I think the reaction just doesn't bait the blocks that it needs to, and they're a bit easier to deal with in decks that don't block, regardless. Like, I think this helps in matchups that Kasai doesn't really need help with. Like, she doesn't really need help with decks that don't really want to block. Like, the Centauri Sellsword tokens don't really do well against decks that don't block. They do well against decks that block a lot. They really try to fatigue you. And this is not really going to help against those matchups, unfortunately. It is what it is. I don't know. I still think it's good. I just think, now I'm looking at it and really thinking about it, it feels a little more like a card that helps in matchups where Kasai didn't really need help. Like, not that Kasai didn't need help. It helps in matchups. It helps in certain matchups in ways that, like, doesn't really help. I don't know. I might not be saying this right, but, like, in the matchups it does help with, opponent's probably not going to be blocking, and Centauri Sellsword is probably easily dealt with because they're probably an aggro deck. Like, if Syndro's just like, oh, Centauri Sellsword, they're on attack, you're done, dead, whatever. I don't know. I might be not explaining it well, but it is what it is. Oh. Why does LSS hate Fang? I'm sorry. Okay. Parched Terrain. It's a Draconic Instant aura. Heroes can't gain life. At the beginning of our end phase, put a sand counter on this. Then destroy it unless you banish a red card from your graveyard for each sand counter on it. I hate this card. Ask anybody who knows me in person. I hate this card. I will go and rant about this card. I hate this. I do not like this. I do not like. It's not good. And, so this is clearly meant to counter Verdance, right? Which is fair. Couple problems. See this in the corner? Unplayable. Fang does best when he's a mid-range deck, when he can do really well with 1-2 card hands. This is an instant, meaning you can't even, like, block with it or get rid of it before your turn comes. You need at least 2 cards, even if you're online, to get good value of this. Are you serious? And, like, sure, okay, you're playing against Verdansk. The way you beat Verdansk, the way you beat Earth heroes that want to block a lot is, well, at least Verdansk specifically. For Verdansk, you race her. You go as fast as possible. You were like, I am pushing every bit of damage I can to your face. And if you kill me with Arcane, so be it. I'm going to kill you first. I'm going to get on as fast as I can. This does not help with that. Not at all. At most, it's going to be like, okay, let's say you have a blue pitch card in this. That's a 2-card 3. 2-card 4. Sorry, 2-card 4. There's a 2-card 4 that might get some value. Might get some value on preventing that life gain. I hate it. I don't like this. It doesn't help in the way that Verdansk, like, you are supposed to deal with Verdansk, which is going fast. This helps you. This slows you down because this is a clunky card in your hand. It's clunky. It's cost 1. That's weird. You don't like it. It doesn't really get that much value because, like, eventually you're gonna run out of the sand counters. And it's like, sure, okay, you stopped a couple of Fruits of the Forest. Sure, whatever. Oh, boo-hoo, whatever. I don't care. If I'm playing Verdansk and I see this, I'm going to think, okay, I'm just going to pitch stack my Pulse of Candleholds, my life. I'm going to pitch stack them away. Whatever. I don't care. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Whatever. I don't know. I think that this just doesn't help Fang as much as it should. It's okay, I guess. It's not what Fang needed. It is not what Fang needed for the Verdansk matchup. If it costs 0, I could see it being good. I could see it being niche, maybe. And the other thing, this actually kind of works against Fang, because a common tech card that a lot of Fang players have used for a while is Sigil of Solace. This plays against that! You can't use Sigil of Solace anymore! I don't like this card. I don't like this. Even with decks that I don't like, with builds that I don't agree with. I don't agree with using Sigil of Solace and Fang. I think it's a weird choice. I don't agree with it. Still doesn't work. I don't like this card. You can tell. I don't like it. This is the tech card. I'm ending with this because this is something I just saw while scrolling Fabre, and I was like, that's interesting. Because I think this could be good in some versions of Dawnblade Ori and Olympia. Unwavering Resolve. Pitch for 1, cost 3, comes in for 6, blocks for 2, and if you have no cards in your deck, this gets +4. If it's defended by 3 or more cards, it gets Go Again. It's basically last-ditch effort. But a 2 for 10. I definitely think that if we live in a world, if you're playing like a very slow, fatiguey Dawnblade Ori, or you're playing Olympia and your plan is to fatigue, this is good. You know, having a card to get to that end game to where you can just swing for 10 and pass, I definitely see that being decent. I can see it being decent. In all war decks, no. Mainly like just Fatigue, Dawnblade, and Olympia. That's it. Those are the 2 that I can see being good. But hey, it's an interesting card to think about. You know, I don't think, like, 2 for 10, not terrible. You know, I don't think it's the worst card in the world to use, but depends on the meta, depends on where it is, depends on what we're doing. But I can see it being decent. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, those are all the cards that I think Warriors could potentially use, apart from like some generics that maybe niche strategies could be used. Those are cards from Super Saiyan that I think Warriors could use. Let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you wrong or right or whatever? Let me know down below. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let me know what you think of these videos. You know, I don't even know where I was going with that. You know, and while you're down there, you know. Doctors told me, doctors say that if you hit that subscribe button, you have a 25.5% chance of pulling a Fabled in your next pack. Why would a doctor tell me that? I don't know. Doctors say all kinds of weird things sometimes. But yeah, no, listen to the doctors. Subscribe down there, and you'll pull a Fabled.